totally different screen.
Happens to me all the time.
I know. I was like, whoa, that screen went away. There's another one. Wait, how do I get out of that screen? Wait, there's another screen. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I get back? I'm lost. So, if you're taking action, if you come into this room every day and you take action and you move towards those visions that you're creating and taking action, making those steps, actually implementing the things that we talk about in this room all the time, like yesterday from 2 days ago when Michelle mentions the superpower about 4 a.m. So I started getting up at 4 a.m. and started working out. So now it's happening because I wasn't doing anything between 4 and 4:30 before that. So if you're taking action and you're moving forward, what I've found is that we're always going to get to a comfort zone. We call that, like, I mean, when you take action and you move forward and your visions start to become reality, you'll get to a spot where it's like, I'm here. You kind of feel like you've arrived, you're successful, you're speaking now, you've got coaching clients, whatever it may be, right? Selling 100 homes a year. So you get to this comfort zone and it is easy to feel like you've gotten there. We're talking about reinventing yourselves, and not at a certain point, but at all times. And for me, I just remembered there was a point in my career where I was coaching 80 top real estate agents, one-on-one calls, helping them with their business. My business was selling 100 houses a year in the real estate industry, right? In my life, I am living in the castle of the neighborhood that was the best neighborhood in Blue Springs. And it wasn't about, trying to keep up with the Joneses. It was that was my wife's dream home. She drove by it every single day and she was, man, I'd love to own that house someday. And I was able to buy that house. So this is my life, right? Sounds real great. Then I'm sitting at a mastermind with Gary Keller, and this is why it's important to come to this room every day and just make that commitment we talked about yesterday, right? To be here every single day. So I'm sitting in a mastermind with Gary Keller, started a company of 180,000 agents. He's got the largest real estate company that's ever been created. And there's a lot of people following suit. I know we got some friends on here too that are at other companies, but he's got this company with 180,000 agents. We're sitting in a mastermind. And he says, you know why you're in this room? Because you don't get comfortable with being comfortable. I was sitting in that room and I was sitting there going, I mean, I was just, you can see my leg crossed over. I was leaning back in the chair, just kind of nodding my head. Yep, yeah, this is awesome. And he said that. And I went, holy crap. I'm way too comfortable. Like I turned off the windshield, right? I was just hanging out inside the car. So success is truly a journey without a destination. That's what I realized that day. And we can pit stop at some wins along the way. But every time you get to one of these pit stops, you can see a little further and there's something else off in the distance. And so hopefully that you get where that road becomes less traveled, like Elise was saying, something bigger to change the world and make it better than it was than what we found it, right? So you get to this pit stop and this win, and you can see kind of what is that? A couple little tracks going down there, road less traveled. Hopefully you get to that point where you see these roads that are less traveled, or where Michelle was even talking about standing alone. Hopefully you get to the end of that road and you make a road on something that hasn't been, ever been traveled before, and that's where we really make the impact. So reinventing yourself at each of those win stops and just never forgetting that there isn't a destination to success because there's so many things that have not been done yet. I mean, there's so much. If you're in the medical field, there is so much about the human brain that, like, we don't know 99.9% of what the human brain can do. And I learned that the hard way through 2015, going through that brain injury and just studying up and understanding it. So hopefully y'all can know that we do get comfortable. And when that happens, man, you got to plug in or stay plugged into people that keep telling you, wait, look, what's that over there? Is that a little path? Ooh, let's go down that path. So hopefully that gives you some excitement for your breakfast morning as you head on to the day today.
That's it. Listen, it's great. Get comfortable. Well, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And that's where that growth comes from. It comes from, doing things that you haven't done, listening to conversations, or listening to perspectives you haven't heard, listening to those perspectives of those that have a different point of view than you. There's that saying that, we find comfort among those we agree with. We find growth among those who don't. And that is so freaking true. So yeah, keep going, keep growing, and get out of your comfort zone, because that's where things go to die.
You made me think about something. One of the things that's so wonderful about this app is you never know who you're going to bump into in these virtual walls. And I ran into Greg Louganis a couple of times, and have shared some rooms with him. And we were in a conversation the other day, and he was talking about how during the Olympics, he had two events that were, in that same Olympics that he was, going for the gold in. And so he even mentioned that while he was standing on the podium with his gold medal around his neck, he was already in forethought. He was beyond that present moment and already dreaming of himself as the gold medal winner in the next event. He was already in reinvention. He wasn't standing on his laurels or resting on his laurels. He did not get comfortable, even with the gold medal, folks. And I love that, because I think that also Dr. Ruth Godian, who's often in here, she also talks about, after having interviewed a lot of highly successful people, that, this is the big thing in reinvention, is that and that's why the successful are the successful, because they're willing to let go of who they know themselves to be, to become who they get to be in order to reach that goal. And I love that. So it's like just taking that leap. So I just wanted to add that in there and say thank you, Brad, because that was really gold. And with that, I'm going to see.
Hold on, I just want to say something. While I agree with that, and I think that that's an important point, it's also important to celebrate and be in the moment of receiving that. Otherwise, you just go from challenge to challenge without really appreciating the work that you've done, the time you put in, and the effort and struggle that you made. So it's important to stop for a moment and look. And I'm not Greg Louganis. I'm not an Olympian. I'm not any of that. I am going to say, though, it's important to stop and celebrate those victories and relish in the moment of receiving that medal, not just thinking, okay, what's the next one I'm going to get? Because otherwise you're just running, and where the hell are you going? So I thought I'd throw that in, because I think that's an important thing as well, because that's what so many people do. They're just running from one challenge to the next, overcoming, winning. But at some point you gotta just sit and appreciate where you are, what you've done. Otherwise you get tired of running. So just thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah, look, it's quite a rich stew we've got brewing here, and or we could call it, a harvest, a bounty of stuff for the breakfast table. And yeah, yes, be in the moment, and take a moment and then look into your future, because that is going to drive what you want to invent, right? Especially like your values and your vision, all that stuff, principles. But I want to pass the mic on. I want to get some great voices in here, and I'd love to pass the mic on to Lee.